Hello all, I'm back with number 20's honor block for the Sewcialites quilt along. I'm doing the 9-inch block. And for this one I actually decided to do something a little fun where I have my print color, but then I'm also using the lighter prints that wouldn't really show off well with my regular background as my background blocks. So that way I can get them into the quilt and, still have a nice contrast to show off the block itself. So the first thing that we need is, if you're doing just your background fabrics, you're going to need one 2-inch by 8-inch rectangle, one 2-inch by 6.5-inch rectangle, and one 2-inch by 5-inch, and one 2-inch by 3.5-inch rectangle. And then with your print, you're going to need a 3.5-inch square, one 2 by 9.5-inch rectangle, two 8 by 2 rectangles, one 2 by 8-inch rectangle is the correct one, and one 2-inch by 6.5-inch rectangle, and one 2-inch by 5-inch rectangle. So to reiterate, you only need one 2 by 8-inch rectangle. So now that I have all these cut out, what it wants me to do is take E, which is my 3-inch square, 3.5-inch square, and then it wants me to take my two smaller pieces of my background fabric. So this is your two 3.5-inch rectangle and your 2 by 5-inch rectangle. So first what you're going to do is you're going to take your square and your 2 by 3.5-inch rectangle and sew those together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, pressing in towards your printed block or whatever print is darker for you. And then you'll be sewing on this 5 by 2 rectangle over here. So what I'm going to do first is fold this down, sew it across, iron it, open it up, and then take my other rectangle and fold it over, 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew, and press it. And I will get back to you when I have done those two. Alright, so now I am back, and I have sewn on my first two print colors, my background colors to the print block. And so my D, which is the smallest rectangle, is now facing closest towards you, and then the 5-inch rectangle is on top for the correct orientation. And now they're going to want us to show on I and H. So I is our 5-inch print, which is going to go over here on this side right here. And then on the bottom, which is our 6.5-inch, after this one is sewn on, this will go down here to make a full square right there. So 1/4 inch seam allowance, this one will go on first. And then after this is sewn and pressed towards the dark, our 6.5-inch rectangle will go up and be sewn on top after this has been pressed out. So once I have sewn on these two pieces, I'll come back to you. Alright, so now I am back, and I have sewn on my I and H panels. So right now it's E, D, C, I, H. And now we're going to be adding A and B panels. So A is our 2 by 8 rectangle, which is going to be going over here. And then B is our 2 and 6.5-inch rectangle over here. So we're going to be putting on B first. So it's matching up here, 1/4 inch seam allowance, pressing out towards probably the larger block here. And then we'll be putting A on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and that will make a nice block, and we'll be able to add in our last two pieces for our print. So I will sew these on, press, and then get back to you guys. Alright, so I have sewn those two on, so of course now to reiterate, E, D, C, I, H, B, A. So now the last two pieces that we have are G and F. G, which is our 8 by 2 inch rectangle, And this will go on this side right here, and this will get sewn on first. And then F is our 2 by 9.5 inch, which is going to be going down here at the bottom. So once we've sewn this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, this one will get put on, and it will all be pressed towards my pink print at this point. Try and cover up the seams. So I will come back to you when these are sewn on, and that will be the completed block. Alright, so I am back with the finished Honor Sewcialites block, and to reiterate in the order of which we sewed on each piece, the middle piece is E, this one is D, C, I, H, B, A, G, F. And as you can see, this is a little bit better with the close-up. You can see how I used these different fabrics here for my background. That technically wouldn't really show off well in a larger block print, but it was nice to get them into my quilt to kind of just, because they were part of this fabric collection, just to show them off, and I thought it was really cute. So that is the finished block of the Sewcialites number 20. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you liked it, please like and subscribe so I can bring you more material. Have a good night.